Alright, what's going on everybody? So this year we saw the release of a lot of great new anime series from the talented folks in Japan. Today I want to highlight what I believe to be the best anime shows of 2021. I initially wanted to focus heavily on 10 different series, but due to time constraints on my end, I'll primarily be speaking on the top 5 shows. However, before I get into this list, I would like to quickly shout out the other 5 series that definitely deserve recognition. The following 5 shows are great and I would totally recommend them: Kamino Gian, Vivi, Shadow's House, Tokyo Revengers, and Wonder Egg Priority. Taking its rightful place at the number 5 spot is the best comedy and romance series of the year, Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. This is a very unconventional romantic comedy about a sadistic yet somehow adorable girl named Hayase Nagatoro and the timid upperclassman that she messes with constantly named Naoto Hachioji, who she just calls Senpai. After teasing him in the library upon discovering his manga drawings, Nagatoro and Senpai's strange relationship begins as she continually stops by his art club to mess with him. Nagatoro and her friends tease and annoy Naoto daily, who just wants to be left alone to draw in peace. This show is hilarious, with Nagatoro eagerly jumping at any opportunity to pick on Naoto, and the variety of facial expressions she makes is pure gold. There are these quick micro expressions that showcase the character's personality and are good for comedic effect. TMS Entertainment has done a great job bringing this energetic character to life, in addition to the voice acting, which is good across the board. Also, the opening sequence, which should come with a seizure warning, is incredible and perfectly captures Nagatoro's energy and Naoto's despair. Amid all the teasing and tormenting for Nagatoro, there are some moments of genuine admiration and kindness between her and Naoto. Occasionally, Naoto will do something nice for her and it catches her off guard. Nagatoro tries to help Naoto on multiple occasions and even starts to defend him from her friends, especially if she feels they've gone too far with their berating. Gradually, she helps him to grow a bit while he becomes someone she likes being around, although she wouldn't openly admit it. This is a very fun and relaxing series to watch, which contains some funny references to properties from all sorts of media, from video games, comics, and TV shows. Compared to the other shows on this list or those within the same genre, there isn't a lot of story. The main characters grow and the writing is good, but it's definitely lacking when it comes to its narrative, although I'm sure there is so much more to explore about the characters in season 2. There's a brief flashback early on for Naoto, but there isn't much revealed about Nagatoro yet. As a whole, this show is a fantastic rom-com despite its dense story. At the number 4 spot is the criminally underrated dark fantasy action comedy series, The Edaton Deities Know Only Peace. This series is based off of a manga by Amahara, who some people might know as the author of Interspecies Reviewers. The show is set in a world where over 800 years ago, humanity was on the brink of extinction from demons going on a rampage. Battle gods known as Edaton saved humanity by sacrificing themselves to seal them away. Hundreds of years later, the sole surviving Edaton from that conflict, Rin, and a whole new generation of Edaton, Prantea, Hayato, Easley, and Paula, discovered that the demons had been hiding in the warmongering Zabel Empire. As Rin and Prantea trained the young Edaton to wipe out the last remaining demons, the demons try to figure out how to defeat them and preserve their race. Basically, Edaton Deity's story is one about survival and what one might do in order to continue living and protect others. Don't be fooled by its stylish, colorful battle shonen look. This show is very dark and will likely catch you off guard from the very start. If you're one of those people that like battle shonen but feel as though a lot of what we get now is generic or want something a lot more mature, I'd highly recommend this series. The story is excellent and its final act concludes in a way that you likely won't see coming. Amahara has written a very intriguing story with a unique world, cool lore, and great memorable characters. He has put an extraordinary amount of detail into crafting the demons and Edatons. The author provides a fresh, unconventional take on gods that may cause you to question their morality and ethics. The characters are very entertaining to watch, especially Rin, who's a powerhouse that doesn't use her brain and takes on everything with brute strength. The kind of training that she puts Hayato, Paula, and Easley through is brutal, and her beatdowns are hilarious. Something that I really appreciated about this show is the fact that the Zabel Empire, both the human soldiers and the demons, are pure scum of the earth villains. The demons do some real vile stuff, all in the name of maintaining demon kind. The smart, super observant, and incredibly hypersexual Miku is my pick for best villain of the year easily. Her perceptiveness and intelligence is almost unrivaled. I'm still wondering how Amahara got away with writing something like this, especially given the sick things that Miku and the Zabo soldiers do. This show really pushes the boundaries when it comes to tackling and depicting certain types of mature content. It does this in a way that is in service to the story, so it's not just there for shock value. Of course, compared to the manga, the anime is censored during a plethora of scenes. In addition to the outstanding writing, the action and visuals were impressive. The art for the backgrounds and characters is beautiful, and the action is quick and brutal with slick animation. The action scenes are very reminiscent of Dragon Ball Z, with the Edaton being fast enough to create a shockwave with a kick, or move at Mach speed at just their base power level. MAPPA is very playful with its use of colors, and each character has a purple outline, giving this show a very unique, inviting look to it. Moreover, the soundtrack by composer and artist Yoshiaki Diwa is awesome and perfectly fits each scene. This show has a nice mix of action, comedy, and serious darker moments. The one fault this series has, in my opinion, is how it handles its exposition. As a self-aware joke regarding how shows tend to bombard the viewer with tons of exposition, MAPPA often fast-forwards through their explanations. Unfortunately, this is a double-edged sword. On one hand, the first couple of times it's effective, especially given that in one instance, Easily is the one delivering the exposition, in which he tends to go overboard when talking about stuff he's interested in. On the other hand, it can be a pain to read the subtitles since everything is sped up. This can lead to people constantly rewinding the show to fully read everything, which in a way can take away from the momentum of the episode. This issue is the worst in episode 5, where there's a lot of exposition. One could argue that perhaps they were trying to cram too much information within 11 episodes, but at least the exposition is accompanied by some good, unique visuals. Thankfully, this is the only flaw in the show's storytelling, and outside of that issue, things move along at a reasonable pace. This is the first anime from MAPPA that I really enjoyed from start to finish, and I'm hoping and praying for a second season. All in all, the Edaton Deities No Only Peace is a fantastic action comedy series that deserves way more recognition for how it subverts expectations with its mature story, vibrant presentation, and characters. Up next at third place is 86, a series created by Asato Asato and animated by A1 Pictures. The story takes place in the middle of a war between the Republic of San Magnolia and the unmanned drones from the fallen Empire of Gilead known as the Legion. The general public is led to believe that San Magnolia is fighting using unmanned combat drones called Juggernauts, but in reality they're piloted by residents of the 86th district. 86 focuses on a group living in the 86th district that fight together as the Spearhead Squadron and their handler Vadalina Milice, who wants to help them survive. The residents of the 86th district aren't considered human by people living outside of the area and have been subjected to discrimination. This show tackles racism and discrimination in a futuristic war setting in a way that seems authentic. Asato does an excellent job handling the show's themes, and she does more with the usual machines rebel against their creators trope than what we usually see from the genre. Like I said in my review for the first half of the season, the story and character drama is what really carries the show, in addition to its outstanding soundtrack and great voice acting. Generally speaking, the story structure and pacing is great, with the show shifting focus from Vladilena to the Spearhead Squadron and their leader Shin during each episode. This is one of the saddest shows of the year, with many character deaths, all of which have some weight to it due to the fact that enough time is spent with members of the Spearhead Squad to care about them on some level. It's a good thing that the author gets you invested in the characters because the action and animation isn't anything to write home about. While the 2D animation and backgrounds look good, the scenes that take place on the battlefield as the Spearhead Squadron fight using the Juggernauts is rendered using CGI, which I'm sure is a turnoff for many people. The action is serviceable at best, and it would have been a lot better had everything been done in 2D. Regardless, 86 is one of the most intriguing and entertaining dramas that premiered this year. Coming in at number 2 is To Your Eternity, an anime series from animation studio Brainspace and series creator Yoshitoki Oima. This show follows the journey and evolution of a mysterious orb that can morph into different things and grow through stimulation. The orb goes from a rock to a wolf and then a boy who's given the name Fushi. As Fushi travels across the world, he meets many people and learns many things. He eventually encounters strange creatures called knockers that pose a threat to life on Earth. At its core, To Your Eternity is about humanity and the cycle of life and death, as well as the experiences accumulated along the way. I'm sure there are other series out there that tackle this subject matter, but the premise here is unique, the writing is clever, and the execution is masterful. Fushi's progression from just a rock with no awareness to a young boy with his own thoughts and feelings occurs gradually as he interacts with the world around him. As he slowly becomes human and gains emotions, Fushi has to deal with the heartbreak of losing those he cares for and the anguish of being unable to stop them from dying. The lives of many characters end tragically, leaving only a vessel for Fushi to transform into, and the treasured memories he has of them behind. Every major character death is impactful, especially the last one, which serves as a bleak reminder of our own mortality. The characters are relatable, easy to sympathize with, and are very memorable thanks to their distinct personalities and excellent character designs. The English voice cast is great, and despite how sad this show can be, there were some genuinely funny moments when things are peaceful. Moreover, the dialogue and overall narration are superb. Some lines of dialogue are referenced periodically throughout the season. Common questions one might ponder about life are expressed through some of the dialogue of those who Fushi considers friends and family. What is my purpose in life? Why was I born me? These are just a couple of examples of questions that eventually Fushi begins to wonder himself at certain points in his journey. Writing aside, the action scenes are dynamic and visually appealing. The animation is solid, and Fushi's ability to switch forms at will leads to some cool moments throughout the series. If there is one thing that prevented this show from taking the top spot on the list, it would have to be its animation. Although the quality of the animation is good, I couldn't help but feel like it could have been better in certain scenes. As I've said before in this channel, I'm no animation expert, but I think there were instances where maybe more frames could have been added to certain animations to make it smoother. Nevertheless, To Your Eternity is an outstanding drama set in the fantasy world that explores what it means to be human in a unique and entertaining way. Finally, at first place, the best new anime of 2021 is Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. This show is based off a light novel series by Refugee na Maganote, which has served as an inspiration for modern day isekais. The story starts with a 32-year-old man who gets hit by a truck and reincarnated into a fantasy world. Unlike most isekai series, the protagonist is reborn as a young child, and the show follows his life in a new world from the very beginning. The main character starts his new life as a baby, given the name Rudius Greyrat by his new parents, former adventurers Zenith and Paul Greyrat. Rudius was a recluse that did nothing with his past life, and after getting a second chance is determined to make the most of it. Mushoku Tensei isn't just another run-of-the-mill isekai series. The storytelling, world building, and overall presentation is on a level far beyond what we typically get from something like this. Refusion has created one of the richest, most engrossing fantasy worlds I've ever seen. The world Rudius is reborn into is vast and is populated by a plethora of monsters and characters from different races. The first handful of episodes is used to establish the characters and flesh out many aspects of the world. One element of the show introduced early on is its magic system, which is very detailed. Learning magic is something that Rudius becomes interested in early on, which causes him to start enjoying reading books to learn about other facets of the world. The conflicts in the very beginning are quite small, with the first few episodes focusing on the lives of Rudius, his family, and his friend Sylphie. Unlike the majority of isekai series, the protagonist's past life is still significant to their story and is touched on occasionally throughout the series. Rudius's past experiences affect him mentally or influence his decisions. There are times where he finds himself in situations that reflect what he dealt with in his previous life, and moments where he has to deal with leftover trauma. As he continues to live his new life and grow among friends and family, he eventually realizes his shortcomings. Rudius Greyrat is not your typical isekai protagonist. He's a very flawed character that can be unlikable at times, but also sympathetic and relatable. Rudius is not a noble or courageous hero. He can be selfish and neglectful of others' feelings or personal situations. On top of that, he's one of the most perverted characters I've ever seen. Despite being a young child, Rudius has the mental maturity of an older man, so some of his thoughts and actions toward younger girls can be seen as creepy and inappropriate. Rudius's inner thoughts or internal monologue can be insightful, humorous, or some might argue distasteful depending on the situation. Characters like his cousin Eris or the super Ruchard bring to light some of his many flaws. In general, the writing for the characters is superb in terms of their dialogue and how certain characters complement one another or serve as a foil to highlight flaws or differences between them. The character drama, especially the family drama, is really good. Mushoku Tensei is way more mature and brutal than most of its contemporaries, and this is made apparent very early on. Case in point, just about everyone is very open and free about their sexuality in this series. I'm sure this caught a lot of people off guard, in addition to some of the dialogue characters like Paul or his cousin Philip have when speaking with Rudius. This show never ceases to be entertaining with its character interactions or impress the audience with its animation. The animation studio behind this series, Studio Bind, was formed by Egg Firm and White Fox for the sole purpose of creating Mushoku Tensei. The work they've done to bring this world to life is remarkable, and it raises the bar when it comes to animation for a TV series. This is the most beautiful looking show to premiere this year. The presentation is very close to movie quality, and Studio Bind does their best to give the show a very cinematic feeling, especially during the opening of each episode. Instead of cutting away and showing a dedicated opening sequence, they keep the audience in the world and have the opening song play in the background. This gives the audience a chance to really admire the world as a whole, notably the awesome artwork and unique character designs, especially when Rudeus starts traveling. The soundtrack is fantastic, with the openings changing with the location Rudeus travels to and the tone of the story. Each opening and ending song was made for the show and performed by artist Yuiko Ohara. Aside from the terrific music, there are some really jaw-dropping action scenes that feature some very fluid animation, striking fight choreography, and expert use of the camera. The bottom line is this: Mushoku Tensei is a phenomenal series and a must-watch if you're a fan of the genre. And there you have it, the 10 best anime of the year. I've always wanted to do a video like this every year around this time, so I'm glad that I was able to get something out before I got too busy during the holidays. So what did you guys think of this list? What are some new shows that you thought were really good this year that I didn't mention? Let me know in the comment section below, and as always, thanks for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.